Concept of Movement. Today we're going to go over some mobility drills and warm-up exercises and procedures that we do here at our facility. We're going to do a two-part video. The first one we're going to go over foam rolling, and the second part we're going to go through our dynamic warm-up. So if you've seen these before, foam rollers, you can get them pretty much anywhere. They're just high-density foam. Now a lot of people will try and stretch, and people will have trigger points or soft tissue restrictions in certain muscle groups, especially quads, IT bands, back to the shoulders. They typically don't respond well to stretching, so what we need to do is we need to come in with some direct pressure. What it'll do is it'll help lengthen and increase the pliability of the tissue and increase blood flow to the muscles before we start moving. So before any of our clients start to move in a dynamic pattern, we have to work the soft tissue that's been tight and stiff, maybe from sitting at a desk all day. So we're going to start on the floor. We'll start from the bottom up. I'm typically starting the feet with some lacrosse ball, but I'm just going to show you the larger muscle groups, so it's not so much of a long video. So we'll typically just get the person, take 5 to 10 swipes at a certain muscle group. Right now I'm just doing the calf. Okay? If you hit the little speed bumps, you hit some tight areas, that's just an area you might need to take a few more passes at. Okay? It might be a little more comfortable, but if it's too painful, then take some pressure off. Maybe do 2 limbs at once. Okay? We want comfortable pressure, but not to the point where it's creating an excessive amount of pain. And foam rolling typically is going to be a little uncomfortable, especially at first, but the more you do it, the more the tissue will respond to it. Okay? So that's the back of the calves. We'll typically come from the calves, you can come to the hamstrings. Okay? Hamstrings usually don't carry a lot of trigger points. If you have some past injuries in the hamstrings, there might be a few there. Okay? From there, we come up into the glutes. Okay? Keeping the legs straight, it's going to get more of the larger bulk of the glute muscle. Flexing the leg up, it's going to get more of the rotators like piriformis. Okay? We do both sides. From there, a tight hip flexor, tensor fasciae lata comes up into the hip. You're going to kind of roll 45 degrees onto your side and just get in between the 2 hip bones. So you're going to feel this outer hip bone, this trochanter here, and this iliac crest. You're just going to roll in between those, and you'll know the spot. It's usually pretty tender. Okay. Attached to that, we come to the IT band. This is going to be a problem for most of us. Because we sit a lot, because we stand a lot, we typically get very, very tight, triggered into here. Okay. And again, if stacking the legs is too uncomfortable, take 1 foot down, take some of the pressure off until it becomes comfortable. Okay. From there, flip around, get into those quads. Okay? The quad runs from the knee to the hip, so you have to run the foam roller the entire length of the leg. Okay? Both sides, ideal. And again, one side may be more tender than the other. And play with the angles. The outer quad is typically more tight, so you might have to work a little bit more there than the inner quad. Right? Groin muscles on the inner thigh. So this is where the positions get a little tricky. Come into a figure 4 position. Okay? Then we just roll from knee to hip. Okay? Take a few passes at that. Coming up into the back. Crossing the arms. A lot of us are going to have trigger points through here because we sit and we slouched all day with poor posture. So the muscles, they start to try and wind up and try and hold our posture up. But to increase blood flow through there, we need to knock those trigger points out, those knots. So crossing the shoulders are going to clear the shoulder blades out of the way so you can get those muscles. Coming to the sides, you get into the lats, larger wing muscles in the backside. We typically get tight a little bit here, which restricts our overhead shoulder mobility. So we just come in, again, just from the armpit down the outer ribs, and you'll know where you're hitting those nice spots there. And then from there, you can get into the arms, you can get into biceps with lacrosse ball, you can get into some of the smaller groups. We typically use the stick or a lacrosse ball to get into those areas, but today I'm just going over the foam roller so we can get into our dynamic mobility work.